point at Miletus, where would you point? Yeah, pretty much. It's around the backside of that spit in that bay area. It's kind of over there. But we're not. And Priyan is on the mountain on this side. I mean, on the slope of the mountain on the other side. And then below it is that big bay that went back in. Okay, so that's Miletus. If you point at Ephesus, where would you point? Okay. Oh, that. So you got Miletus, Samos, Ephesus. If you're sailing up, you have those three kind of as major harbors. This harbor is ancient. It goes back to about the time of Pythagoras, when a guy named Polycrates, however you say it, Polycrates, was governor here, and that's still it. It goes on a little bit farther, but the modern jetty is built on the foundation of something 500 something BC. So this thing is an ancient major harbor, and it's been continuously used ever since. And Paul, I'll just put everything in perspective. Listen to this. Now we know where Ephesus is. We know where Miletus is, and now we know where Samos is. This is the ancient port of Samos in Pythagoria. Acts 20. Acts 20:14, I think. Yeah, 13. I've read this now a couple times because it all happens here. Third missionary journey, that last missionary journey, not the last trip, but the last missionary journey, comes down from the north, gets on at Assos, which is straight north of here. We met at Assos in verse 14. We took him aboard and went on to Mytilene, which is, excuse me, the island of Lesbos. And then you come on down. The next day we set sail from there and arrived at Chios, which you could actually see from the ferry. So it's the next major island up. I think that's the one it is. I didn't look at it. If I had my charts, I could positive, but it's the only major island right north of, kind of north. That's Chios. Chios. Kos is another one, but Chios, K-I-O-S. The day after that, we crossed over to Samos. And Jen and I and her sister sailed that stretch in one day. We kind of wanted to get the sister possible. No problem. It was perfect. It was a one-day sail from Chios to Samos on that side of the island. But we don't know exactly where they touched in, but let's say it's here. It makes the most sense. You just have to come around the island. And then, after that, the following day, we crossed over to Miletus. Just a reference that we crossed over to. You can tell that it's the mainland there and the island here. It didn't say we went on down, we crossed over. So it's just really cool details, and it makes total sense. Now, Paul has spent time in Miletus and Ephesus, and then he comes here at the very end. So there's nothing really connected that much, but I would like to propose that Miletus being the center of, we heard about this as one of the most prominent cities that produce gifts of ideas to other places. And we know Ephesus is the most important seaport. Samos is probably the most important island in terms of trade and ideas. Mostly ideas. And so I kind of like to think that these ideas that were circulating hundreds of years before Paul listened to carefully, thought about, and actually integrates into his theology. We're going to see if that's good. Did you have a question?
No.
Okay.
Can you tell me the reference one more time, please?
2013 to 16 is the, let me just say, they went to Miletus. It says Paul had decided to sail past Ephesus to avoid spending time in the province of Asia, ferries, and after ferry they reached Jerusalem. All of that is incredible. We've now been in all of those places. This is really cool. 3 of the places mentioned in those verses on that route home. Let's look at let's look at it. There's 3 people that 2 of them you've heard of, 1 of them maybe not, that come from Samos, that have made a major impact on the Western world. One is Pythagoras, who you have met in studying White Sea. Just for a review, what did Pythagoras, and he is 580 to 496, this is really back there, BC. What did he contribute? What's some of the ideas that he contributed? We kind of see that one right there. Okay, the Pythagorean, what do they call it? Theorem, yeah, theorem. Okay. Yeah, equals C squared. Very great. Okay, how did he come up with that? We don't know, but the idea of geometry doesn't start, or kind of mathematical formulas doesn't start with Pythagoras necessarily. Some people think the Egyptians were already giving some of these ideas, and the Greeks picked up on them. Pythagoras is an early leader. Okay, so we have it. He's a mathematician. We know that. Anything else? Okay, he's a mystical mathematician. Say that really fast. Mystical mathematician, and believed that math was an explanatory system that would kind of unlock secrets that are otherwise unknown. And so they would often make deals with the invaders, and so they managed to survive. Like Hezekiah's tunnel, only straighter. It goes 3,000 feet. We will not go that far. You can go in there, and it's just pretty cool. Then when we go in and see it come back out, I'll tell you a story, the story that supposedly happened here. And yeah.
This is us going through a, what is it called again? What is it called again, James?
It's slippery.
Yeah, that.
It's called water tunnel?
Water tunnel.
I don't know.
We know when it was built. You want to go in front of me and hold this and that?
Alright.
I don't know.
Wet and slippery.
Yeah. Ooh, the things I get myself into. Lord have mercy. Imagine that. I don't think I want to do it anywhere else. Between my head. between being too tall,
Blade through.
between being too tall,
Versus your camera on your wrist.
yes, and I'm going to get to the other end. Let me find out. Can you go out this way? Probably not, right?
I don't know.
A little bit of it. It goes on and on. They do not know for sure. It doesn't go in a perfectly straight line, and they did it from both ends simultaneously, according to the archaeological evidence. You can see which way the chisel marks and stuff are going. And they met in the middle. There's no offset, so they're not quite sure how they engineered it. It's difficult under the best circumstances to do something like that, but they did it. Now, so the engineering is really, really well done. That's why Apollonius is so famous because of that feat. Now, what do you think? Are we standing in the water tunnel or something else?
Sewer system?
Yeah, because if water were in here, it would go down to the lower level. So this is probably not the actual tunnel. The actual water carrying part is probably 50 feet below us, and then you have these shafts that go down that you can see. Now think about it. What's going on here? Why didn't they just hew the thing out? Why did they put two tunnels, one above the other? This one is bigger too, they think. And there are actually sometimes kind of bigger rooms, as if somebody would have lived down here. And here's the story. The story is that this was built by slave labor, and the slaves were promised that if they would live in this tunnel, working their way through the rock until they were finished, then they would be free.
They lied to the people.
They could earn their freedom by completing the tunnel. Now think of it. We look down there. Look at the gloom of that place. The story is that they were imprisoned in this part as they worked on the tunnel, and you have these shafts in that they could lift up so people could go up and down. And there were over the years, it took several years to do, and there were 3,000 slaves. And the story is that none of them lived long enough to achieve their freedom, because their life expectancy was very short. You're in the dark, there's disease, it's all bad for you, no air. You're probably lights with you burning, torches and things. You can smoke.
Dusty.
You spend the end of your life trying to dig your way to freedom in the dark in this kind of situation. That's the story. I like to think maybe Paul picked up an idea here when he heard that story, if it was told, and that is, we are all prisoners trying to find the light, trying to find life, being promised that if we work for the Roman system, we will be rewarded with all this great stuff. And so we have become slaves to our own desire to get that which is promised us. And if you think about it, you don't have to do that. That we are offered that without tunneling our way out of the tombs that we live in. That's one of the ideas that maybe Paul toys with, because that is not completely unusual to be offered life for something that's going to kill you in the Roman Empire, or in the Hellenistic or the pre-Hellenistic time. And here's an example of that. The sad fate of people who live their lives in hope. The gospel becomes so attractive because it doesn't depend on you succeeding, of hewing yourself out of the prison that you're in.
Was this the tunnel that was started on two sides?
It started on two sides, so they would have been sealed in. The idea was that they worked themselves in, and then the gates were closed. Basically, they keep going on these two levels. I mean, they can't exactly seal it in, because they probably get the dirt, everything up on this level. And maybe are even, I don't know how maybe they're digging it simultaneously. We don't know. Meet in the middle. Once you get this one down, then the next one won't be quite as hard, because you just follow this path and put shafts down every once in a while. And there's air shafts too as well.
Right.
We passed one. But isn't that amazing? Fuck.
It's how long?
3,000 feet.
That's what I want.
Yeah, it's a little over half a mile long.
All of a sudden, I'm not hungry anymore. Nor does my head hurt.
All right, we had enough. This is all there is. It's just really cool engineering project. It's not quite as